Hi, to my left here is Morgan Breismaster, and if you're wondering why I'm talking to Morgan Breismaster, I'll just have you tell us yourself. First of all, what do you do for a living?
Well, I work with the Standard Examiner in Ogden. It's a local newspaper that services about 25,000 residents of that community.
Okay. You recently, was it in the last week, had an interesting experience covering the courts.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, last Tuesday, it was my first day on the job as a justice reporter, so I'd been working with them for quite some time, but I was given a new beat, and on Tuesday I went with a colleague to the courthouse for my first time. We went there together.
Was this in Ogden?
It was,
okay.
Yes. And as we approached the building, we were headed through security, and a bailiff stopped me. And he said that my shoulders needed to be covered. I was wearing a formal blouse and was wearing pants that day as well as heels.
And we have a picture of the blouse you were wearing.
That's correct.
We'll put that up in just a minute.
Okay. And apparently it was offensive, my shoulders. So, and I thought, well, it must be policy that that I can't be wearing this attire.
After all, every person walking in with a sleeveless blouse would also be told they can't come in.
Correct.
I thought there must be some uniform policy.
Yes, sir. So I went out to the car. We went over to find something to wear, and there was nothing. We came back empty-handed, but the bailiff had asked or requested that suggested rather, that I head over to Salvation Army up the street to cover my shoulders with, and time did not permit. So we had myself wait outside the courtroom as my colleague finished the court hearing.
So you got to sit outside.
So
you were allowed in the building, just not into the courtroom itself.
Yes. I was there as a reporter, and the bailiff at that time did know that. I was with my colleague who he had recognized. And
were you wearing a lanyard or a credential or anything like that?
I was wearing my Standard Examiner lanyard. And so he knew that I was there to report the news. So the reason why we brought attention to it via a column that our editor wrote was basically to bring awareness to the public about the importance of allowing reporters into the courtroom to report the public's news.
Yeah, and I gotta say, in a situation like that, nobody would have taken notice of your dress. It was the sort of thing where if you'd have sat down, nobody would have, no heads would have turned. People would have just assumed you were there as a witness or as a party or just somebody who wanted to see what was going on, but no one would have thought there was anything inappropriate about it.
Perhaps.
I wouldn't have personally, and I, being an attorney myself, if I'd have seen that, I wouldn't have even commented on it. Now, I've seen some pretty outrageous dress in court from time to time, and people that have been told to leave, but never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought, how'd they let her in? Just kind of an interesting thing. And we can see it. We can see an image of that right now. I mean, you take a look at that image, and you tell me how immodest or inappropriate you think it is, those of you that are watching. And you said you did look into that. There's no written policy.
Correct.
There's no court rule. You were just told by the bailiff at the entrance to the courthouse that what you were wearing was inappropriate.
Yes.
Where else have you worn that blouse?
I worn it all over campus when I was there as a student, and in school, and just in and out through the public. Like I wore it in church. It didn't offend anyone.
I've seen women attorneys dressed in similar outfits, and no one's criticized or barred them from the courtroom. So it's an interesting story. Well, thank you for speaking with us.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.